So when you exercise, obviously your muscles are contracting. As your muscles contract, they are producing a large amount of energy. The energy production within muscles, as a byproduct, produces free radicals, and these free radicals actually damage the muscles. So one of the key things that happens to muscles when you exercise strenuously is actually you get a free radical production that ends up damaging those muscles to a degree. The harder you train and the more intensely you train, the more energy you produce, the more free radicals you produce, and the greater the damage potentially there is there. And this is why people experience soreness after training. Not at the time of training, but after training. And that soreness is caused acutely by an inflammatory response as a consequence of that damage. So the muscle gets damaged, you get some local inflammation, and that inflammation causes the muscle then to be sore and tender and inflamed, and that will take a day or two to settle down depending on how long the training session was and how intense the training session was. Okay, it can take a number of days for your muscles to fully recover after training, and they can feel sore after training. The reason for the soreness is when you train and exercise, what happens is your muscles have to produce energy to allow them to contract. As a consequence of producing the energy within the mitochondria, they also produce, as a byproduct of that, the ATP, the cellular energy that's produced, they produce a number of free radicals. Free radicals are reactive oxygen species, and these free radicals run around the cell and they actually break and damage things within the cell. And antioxidants have the property of mopping up free radicals, and the thought of using antioxidants within exercise has always been to try and mop up those free radicals. Why would you want to do that? Well, as a consequence of the free radical production, you get local inflammation at within the muscle cell, and this is why the muscles get sore, because you get an acute inflammatory response, and there's some white cells called neutrophils that invade the blood vessels and so forth, and what they're trying to do is to mop up the damaged the damaged muscle cells that have been damaged as a consequence of the training. So this process takes, depending on how strenuous the exercise is, can take anything from a few hours to several days to recover. So if you've done a very light training session, or you've just gone for a walk, then you'll get very little inflammation. But if you've run a marathon, then obviously you can find you get soreness which will come on the day after the actual event, and that may last for 24, 48 or even 72 hours as those muscle cells are gradually repaired and they gradually recover. So that acute soreness is really as a consequence of local inflammation.